Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to the stream today. Sorry, that's the Discord there. Let me get my internet open. There we go, though. Went ahead and had the market popping up this morning, guys. We are seeing one of the best days in the market in a while. I mean, I know last week was amazing, but we are continuing off of that amazing momentum here. Walmart had great earnings this morning, which is fantastic for the stock market. Started really flying up. Now I'm going to go ahead and find us a nice article here where they raised their outlook. I know that was the big thing that people were talking about in Discord was Walmart's outlook. It looks like they did beat across the board as well, and that revenue beat by quite a bit. Almost $5 billion there, so fantastic movement. Let's go. Walmart's looking good. Looks like they did say that pocketbooks are stretched. People have less discretionary income or less disposable income to spend on things, so they're looking for value. And as we know, Walmart is one of those companies that offers people a lot of value. You know, Walmart is known for having the lowest prices. They'll price check you, or they'll, what do they call it? Price matching? They'll price match you if you get the same, or if you show them the same product somewhere else cheaper, they'll give it to you for the same price. But very nice movement on the chart here. I will say this is a great turnaround from the end of day yesterday. You know, the whole market was flying down. Walmart was moving down. I feel like a lot of people were extremely bearish yesterday on the market, but today people are a lot better. MJ's popping up. It's up 2.5%. Hang on. Is that the right one? Yeah, it is. Okay. Had to make sure because sometimes TradingView can take me to some of these weird stocks, but good. It's the MJ ETF. I know Tilray, CGC, stocks like that are doing okay. I saw that my Tilray play was up. CGC is doing the best out of all of them, honestly. Of course, that's Keisha's favorite, isn't it? Ha. Keisha says, Bill, were you holding Apple with me? Man, Keisha, you were holding Apple too. Jeez. This is insane, Keisha. This is hype, though. I mean, this is amazing. Let's go. Yeah, Bill says CGC's at 5% for sure. Xbox says, good morning. Hey, Xbox. Good morning, Jamie, Xbox, Mike, Keisha, Bill W, Krish. Appreciate everybody. Can't forget Sean either. I am a chicken. You didn't get in, Bill. Oh, Bill. No. It's all right, Bill. I'm just kidding. That would have been pretty damn risky yesterday, can't lie, but hey, it was cool to see Keisha come away with another one there, you know? Yesterday's close made Bill nervous. Yeah, it made me nervous too, Bill. That close was terrible. But I will say, you know, we knew that Walmart was going to be the big thing here today. Yeah, we knew Walmart was going to be the big runner, the big market-moving stock. CHWI, 3.3%, still going. Keisha, does this thing ever have a red day? Like, how many green days in a row has it been? 1, 2, 3, only the fourth. Could go more. Yeah, never bet against her. That's right. That's right, Bill. Wow, she took profits on her Apple position yesterday and rolled it over into next week. So, great stuff, Keisha. Fantastic. That's really big, actually. Great movement on Apple, though, all the way up to 153. Looking good, looking good. But yeah, Keisha, we got to get that interview done up, you know? I know some people are looking forward to that now. How is some of these growth stocks looking? DraftKings, maybe Meta. All right, Tilray. Okay, Zoom. Corsair, maybe? No, AMD, Nvidia. Nothing really good. Xbox says SoFi at 6. Let's see, SoFi, $6. Damn, it is at 6, isn't it again? It's pretty big intraday level there, $6. Oh, I see. That's a support. Okay. Yeah, really watch SoFi. I mean, 6 does seem like a pretty big level, actually. I'm noticing, especially like right here, there was a bounce, but even right here. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but oh, excuse me. Check out the memes channel. I actually have a crazy picture of the snow that came down last night. Yeah, this snow has been crazy though. Hey, for sure, Xbox. Don't forget to check Google. Oh, I see where you said it now. GOOGL 97.75, $2.15 or 2.15%. Honestly, this one kind of feels like it's going to be falling off a little bit today. I don't know. Some of these stocks just still feel overextended, even though the market's doing well. We really need that SPY to hold and keep ripping, though. Oh. Damn, Sean, that sucks. Well, hey, Sean, good luck at your new job. Like you said, maybe close to 6 weeks or something. Sounds all right, Sean. Just, yeah, obviously those new jobs are, obviously, when you've been somewhere for a few years, you got a lot more lax than you do at a job that you just started. But I feel what you're saying, Sean. Yeah, just keep checking in on the nightly videos. Keep investing. Just don't get out of it. I feel like right now is still a great time, and I know you're not going to go anywhere as far as that goes. Just stay strong with the market. Don't get too out of I guess out of the loop, I guess you could say. Shelly said, "Good morning. What happened that made the market shot up?" Hey Shelly, thanks for joining up today. It's actually Walmart that made the market fly up here. So Walmart's up 6.2%. Looking at the news today, we can see that they raised their outlook. Groceries boosted sales, but across the board, I was really looking at their revenue. This was up almost 5 billion, which is pretty insane. Their EPS, of course, beat with all the good news, but pretty insane. Now let's see what they did say about a net loss here. They posted a net loss of 1.8 billion, or 66 cents per share. What? Huh. They posted a net loss of 1.8 billion, so weird. I mean, either way though, the company seems like it's doing well. They're saying people's pocketbooks are stretched, so people are trying to spend less, and obviously Walmart is one of those places people spend, well, they go to spend less at, so that's a good thing. Yeah, Shelly says, awesome, good thing I had SPY calls overnight. Fantastic, Shelly, that's great. I'm glad you had SPY calls, glad you won. Hopefully you entered them yesterday around close. That would have been really nice. Hey, good morning, Corbin. I appreciate you being here. Sounds awesome. Keisha says, entered CRM yesterday and got a nice pop up this morning, holding for a couple of weeks. Also watching ROKU. Roku. Also watching Roku. Roku's not looking the best today for some reason. It can definitely turn around, but so far it gapped up. It's kind of starting to pull back down now. Interesting with Roku. CRM yesterday, though, Keisha said, and that thing's popping. So, yeah, got a nice pop. She's going to hold for a couple of weeks. That's great. What a good move on CRM. Wow. Yeah, Keisha's been on fire, guys. Don't forget about that. Keisha, what are you watching for right now? I see you said Roku before. You said you also got a pop and Uber, so is Roku the main thing you're looking at here today? Is this, you're looking at Roku for another bounce back up? That seems like a pretty good one. There's a nice high right around 62. Looks like it might potentially run up and try to break that high there. Xbox says I have an average price of $87.71 on Google, so I'm happy to see it up. Should I consider selling at 100? That's tough. That's a tough one there. I love Google. Hopefully it gets back to 100. I mean, it got really close in pre-market, but... Oh, even at open, I guess it got close. 98, 90, almost 99. But right now, it's falling back. Yeah, I mean, if it can get up to 100, I'd probably recommend cutting there. But Xbox, it really depends. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like, if you... I mean, Google's such a good stock. I think you should just hold it, honestly. I mean, I don't know how big the account is or how much of your account these shares are taking up right now, but I don't know. I feel like holding this one could be a good thing even. Like long term. Long term. Maybe like 3 years plus. Strom says Netflix is still moving. Yeah, I know that one was one of the big ones yesterday. Yeah, it's up 3% again here. Let's see. Yeah, looking good, looking good. Got some green candles coming in. Looking at that 5-minute chart. Looking pretty good. Right around 304.70, maybe 305. Something like that. SPY. Right around 400 right now. Getting closer. Bill liked Uber's setup. Yeah, it's up 5%. Let's see on that 1 minute. Yeah, I mean, pretty good. These stocks are just so high, some of them. Too high. There goes Apple, making maybe a push back up towards the high of day. That would be great if we saw that. That would be fantastic. CHWY. That is one of my favorites of the past couple weeks. It's just been continuing to rip. All right. Come on, Chewy. Let's get that momentum back. Let's get back towards that high of day. And guys, let me know what stocks you're watching, of course, and let me know anything you want to check out today. We can definitely do that. Going over to my watch list here. Gotta get it open here on the side of the screen. Looking at it, looks like I got Alibaba leading the way, up 11%. China stocks had some news, I know. Shopify is up 7%. Pretty good. Walmart's up 7%. Roblox is almost up that much too. Walmart's up more than Roblox. That's funny. Since when does that happen? That is hilarious. Dang, Walmart. Walmart has some cool setups, I'll tell you. Last night, this stock was looking crazy. You never know with earnings, do you? You never know. We were just breaking under support, pretty much right at it, and yeah, very interesting to see the pop back. SNDL, Keisha says. I forgot about the marijuana stocks over the past 2 minutes. Or over the past 10. Wow, yeah, they look pretty good. Sundial. Let's check that daily. Not the best on the daily, but it looks alright. There is resistance around 290 to 3. He only has 2 shares of Google. Oh. Yeah, only 2 shares. I'd probably look to get out then sometime around 100, if not maybe sometime soon. I don't know how much longer this is going to end up falling down now, but yeah, I would look for like somewhere like 100 Xbox. That would be a pretty good gain, honestly, on just shares. Gain like 15, 20%, something like that. Not bad. Corbin says, I sold my Tesla call it open. I'm happy to take profits and limit risk. My account is up 20% this month. I'm thinking about gold and oil. Hey, it sounds good, Corbin. Gold and oil is one of the better places to put your money, in my opinion. Now, gold right now is just a little bit overextended in the short term. But then again, so are a lot of stocks. Crude oil, though, is all over the place. I just wanted to point that out. Hang on, I got to retype it now because I ruined it. Crude oil is falling back down, actually, but crude is just very, I don't know, it's been very volatile. It's just been really up and down, up and down, up and down, especially the past few months. There's a big resistance at 93, almost 94. Big support down here right around 81.50. So just watch for it to stay between there. There is also that bigger support down around 76 to also look for, but yeah, crude oil, gold and oil, he says, huh? That sounds interesting. You know, it's not too often people are asking about gold and oil on here, so sounds nice. Yes, Keisha, DraftKings got a nice pop this morning, but now it's coming right back down, unfortunately. Damn it, I needed this one up more, Keisha. We need more. You know, I don't know the time of that meeting, Keisha. It didn't tell me. It just said they were meeting today. Let me... Man, I don't know. It's hard for me to find. I almost just typed Mary J meeting. Congress marijuana meeting. Here we go. Looks like 10 a.m. Eastern time, Keisha, so honestly, it looks like in about 10 minutes. Is this going to be live? Oh, it is. It's going to be live in 10 minutes. Who would have known? We're going to watch it, it looks like. We're going to watch this live. Oh. Maybe we'll get to see Tilray pop off. Come on, Tilray. Come on. The PPI data. Yeah, let's go look at it. PPI came in just under the forecast. So pretty close, honestly. Not bad. Right at the forecast. I mean, or just under it. Probably not good, but I don't think it really affected the market too much. Like, I don't think that we saw SPY necessarily explode or die off that. Let's see the time. Oh, it was. I mean, SPY definitely moved up when that came out, so. Interesting. It still missed expectations, though. So. Yeah, let's watch that stuff. That's going to be cool here in about 9 minutes. Maybe we'll get to see some true movement here out of these marijuana companies. Tilray. Just all over the place there. Let's see SPY. SPY. That's insane. $400. Bouncing right off of 400. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That's a really nice bounce, though. Right at 400. Watch that bounce on SPY, guys. That's a damn good level. That might be actually pretty good for us here today. Yeah, hopefully they will get high, Sean says. That's right. Hopefully they will get very high. Maybe very, very high. LVS Las Vegas Sands has a nice upper there, right around 44.75. All right. Nice lower level around 44.40. Watch this, guys. This is actually a really good range here I found for us. Really good range. It's weird to me how many bounces there is at 44.40. That is a lot. That's a ton. Let's go see CGC. CGC for Cornish one more time here. There we go, CGC. Canopy Growth, one of the better stocks out there. PLTR. Let's see, Palantir, SPY. Still on 400, guys. Still on 400, holding strong. BYND, Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat for Nay. Let's see. Yeah, 7.5%. Definitely pointing back up here. Let's check Beyond out on the daily. I know that they have earnings, or they did. Yeah, that's looking really good. Explosive ever since that earnings report. Nice and explosive. 4 solid green days in a row. We're breaking out above resistance at 1650, so looking good. There is still resistance coming up, I see at 18, but I feel like there's still room up with this one. And it looks like it's starting to move back up today. Very interesting. SE is up 28%, Chris says. SE. I forgot about this one, Chris. I was looking at it earlier. I kept looking at Walmart, Home Depot, and SE. But now that secondary push up really made it look good. Wow. There's no data. What? The heat map's not working? You kidding me? No data. What about weekly? No. What's going on with this? I'm so confused. Okay, now it works. I guess it was just broken. I don't know. Now it popped up though. Yeah, look at that heat map today. Now this is delayed a little bit, so just keep that in mind, guys. It's delayed a few minutes, but for the most part, looking really, really green so far. Apple, SPY's all popping up, CGC. Cornish says it's crossing the 180 SMA right now on the daily. And apparently that's his beloved SMA is the 180. So nice, Sean. That's cool. We're breaking out above $4.20 or $4.20, which I thought was interesting too. Thinking of $4.20, Tilray is also right around $4.20. Big resistance on Tilray up around $4.50. That SE move is pretty good. I think SE might be a pretty good contender for a multi-day continuation. What about Beyond? BYND. By the way, Keisha, I answered your private message, by the way. Just wanted to let you know that, because I know you told me about it in the chat, so. All right, Cornish, since you start your new job Thursday, does that mean that tomorrow we have to have a going away party for Cornish? Tomorrow's morning live stream might be a Cornish going away party, guys. Get out of here, Xbox. That's all you say. Get out of here. Y'all know that ain't true. All right. In 1 minute, I think we got this marijuana thing going here. Let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Share. I want to watch it on YouTube. Here, let's go here. There we go. Oh, man, look at that. That's a bad picture right there. All right, come on. It's almost 9. How many seconds? 2 seconds till 9. Okay, there we go. All right, start. I'm too overzealous. I guess they can't start right on time, can they? I was literally like on the... I'm hawking them. I'm on the second. All right. Guess they don't want to go yet. But hey, the meeting's starting, so let's see. Got Tilray on the left side here. Got the marijuana thing on the right. Darn it, can I get this off my screen? There goes Chewy, Keisha says. CHWY. How high is it getting, Keisha? Oh, it's not up to the high of pre-market yet, Keisha. Not quite. How high do you want Keisha to get here? I know, Sean. I'm just kidding. These guys aren't starting their damn meeting, though. Come on. Come on, guys. You said 10 a.m. Oh, I forgot to go look at TSM, Krish. Krish, I forgot about this. This made me... Whoa. Look at that. When I press T, it like zooms in on YouTube. Interesting. Yeah, I forgot about TSMC. Totally forgot about these guys. Or is it just TSM? There we go. Yeah, TSM. I forgot. 13%? I forgot about that position with Buffett yesterday. That was huge on TSM, Krish. Thanks for pointing that one out. That one slipped my mind. Thank you for pointing that one out, Krish. Yeah, I remembered that last night and I was looking, I was like, yes, that's looking great. But yeah, I forgot this morning. Good looks. 13% though. Really popping up. Let's see that daily chart for TSM. Yeah, looking great. All right. House Oversight Committee. I'm going to fire you guys. The House Oversight Committee doesn't know what they're doing, I don't think. Let's go BKNG, Keisha says. Booking. Damn. What is up with that stock, Keisha? That's pretty insane. Come on. I hate it when these guys don't start when they say. Ugh. It's alright, though. I mean, it's not too bad, not too bad. I just wish that they'd... You know, it's okay to be like a minute late. You know, I mean, something like that. That's cool. That's cool with me, but... these guys are now 5. It's like... Is this even like the real thing? So confused. Marijuana hearing today. All right, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and make the stocks back on the screen because I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, do we see Meta going higher? Tyler's asking. Let's see. META. Wow, that's looking great this morning, actually. It was looking really good earlier, which was great. Started falling back off, but now we're moving right back up, all the way back up to 118.20 on Meta. Actually, not a bad move. I will take that good movement any day of the week there. It actually looks really good, Tyler, in my opinion. I like this. Yeah, I like this. Hopefully we can break out above this resistance. Yeah, that is a big resistance from pre-market here. But I'm liking the setup. I mean, gosh, this thing's just on such a crazy recovery right now. Like, look at these daily candles. They're just not slowing down. They just can't slow down. Sean says the meeting's being held off for Joe to finish his oatmeal. Yeah, nothing started on time under this administration, has it? Tesla's back over 200. Oh, wow. Yeah, honestly, my big thing with Tesla right now is once it fell under 200, I was mainly just waiting for a big drop down. Now I'm just kind of waiting for either a big push up above 200. Oh, man. Sorry, guys. Or I'm just waiting for a big rejection back to the downside, one or the other. It's pretty much all I'm looking for. A big rejection back down would actually be pretty nice. So hopefully we can see that happen. Good old Tesla. Tessie. Yeah, it's kind of bouncing right off 200 right now. I would definitely watch that for a rejection because that seems like a pretty crazy level there. Meta's kind of rejecting at that double top too. Still need to just get a good breakout. Damn it. And SPY's turning over. Apple looks alright for now. Microsoft's kind of down. Very mixed day. How are banks today? JP Morgan, Bank of America. Not really doing too much. It's kind of, I'd say like slightly green biased here on the banks. Walmart's still doing good though. Look at this guy's up 7% coming back from open. Opened around 144.60, somewhere close to that. Let's see, 144.60, 144.70. Now we're all the way up to 148.50. Moved up about 1 point. I'm liking the setup on these stocks. It's just... Look at MGM continue. That is hot, actually. I'll tell you what. Yeah, guys, you guys need to really make sure you check out these unusual options plays, which is a pretty crazy thing to see. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of huge options plays lately, and a lot of these work out in such a good way. Pretty much in last night's YouTube video, we were calling out the MGM $38 calls for June 16th of 2023. Someone put $2.5 million into this play, and today the stock flies up 5%, flies over major resistance levels, and just continues to do very, very well here. So, hey, kudos to MGM. What a crazy stock. What a good recovery back up here. And overall, these unusual options plays have been insane. I hope that you guys see those in the nightly videos.
Order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare recess of the committee at any point.
God darn it, that scared the shit out of me.
Without objection, do we have
oh, man. L's in the chat for Tom, guys. That scared me.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome
go get
to
a monster.
our
right
witnesses
back.
for being here. We've got some sensational witnesses who've joined us. Last month, President Biden announced that he was issuing a blanket pardon to people who'd been convicted of simple possession of marijuana under federal law. And he said that his administration would review the scheduling of marijuana under the Controlled Substances Act. And I applaud his announcement as an important and key first step in rectifying the many social injuries that have been inflicted on communities and our people across the country by the war on marijuana. It's just a first step, and we already know what the next step should be. Cannabis must be decriminalized at the federal level as a matter of basic justice in the country, and I would say to vindicate the anti-prohibition principle that's in our Constitution. We tried prohibition of liquor. And all it did was lead to the growth of organized crime in the country. It pitted the government against the people. It eroded respect for the law, as all of the prohibition laws were being honored only in the breach, and it basically set the society at war against itself. And we've seen the exact same thing with marijuana prohibition. It's not that marijuana is great for everybody in all circumstances, and I certainly discourage my kids from smoking marijuana or drinking alcohol. But the point is that the war against marijuana has ruined so many lives in our country, and we can do a lot better by treating all of these as public health questions and regulatory questions rather than questions of crime and putting people behind bars. Decriminalizing cannabis
Corbin,
would
that's pretty
benefit
funny.
a lot of communities, including especially people of color, individuals incarcerated for nonviolent offenses, veterans, and federal employees. It will also benefit the small businesses operating in states where cannabis has already been legalized by providing access to banking services. They will no longer have to operate on a cash-only basis, which is obviously dangerous and makes them ready targets for criminal gangs. We've already seen the benefits of decriminalizing in the states. As of May 27, 2022, 19 states, 2 territories in the District of Columbia, where we sit today, have enacted measures to regulate cannabis for adult, non-medical use. They've accepted and embraced the anti-prohibition principle that's in our Constitution. In addition, 37 states, 3 territories, and Washington, D.C., the vast majority of the country, allow the use of medical marijuana. What an extraordinary outbreak of common sense in America. Despite efforts to legalize and decriminalize cannabis possession at the state level, cannabis arrests today still remain widespread. They account for 43% of all drug arrests. 9 in 10 of those arrests are for simple possession of marijuana. However, states that have reformed their cannabis laws have seen markedly fewer arrests between 2010 and 2018. Regardless of the status of legalization, racial disparities in cannabis arrests continue to persist nationally, although black and white people use cannabis at roughly the same rates. In fact, black people are nearly 4 times as likely to be arrested for marijuana possession as white citizens are. In many states, these arrests can have life-altering consequences. Parents lose children. Disabled and low-income recipients of public assistance may lose health care. Families can be evicted from public housing, and finding a job can be difficult or outright impossible for people who have a marijuana conviction on their resume. Black and brown people disproportionately face these repercussions, evidencing the systemic problems in the criminal justice system. Decriminalizing cannabis will help to relieve these disparities. Allowing automatic expungement for nonviolent arrests and convictions would quickly help to reverse much of the damage being caused by the war on drugs. It would also benefit the thousands of veterans who suffer from chronic pain and post-traumatic stress disorder. Under current law, the VA is unable to prescribe medical marijuana to its patients, instead having to rely on traditional pharmaceuticals and opioids, and we know the dangers of opioids. Furthermore, decriminalization would benefit approximately 2.1 million federal civilian employees and countless applicants for government jobs. Even in the states where it's been fully legalized, federal employees and applicants are still vulnerable to being fired or rejected from their jobs, even for having used a medical marijuana prescription in a state where that's lawful. We should not be denying our constituents the opportunity to serve in federal office simply because they have used marijuana, as a majority of the country records that it has. In addition, the federal cannabis prohibition hinders the operation of above-board cannabis companies and undermines communities' economic integrity due to lack of access to formal banking. It also leaves cannabis companies vulnerable to theft and burglary because they're forced to deal in an all-cash market. Moreover, entry into the industry is effectively much more difficult for historically disempowered groups, women and minorities, compared to more resource competitors who dominate in this space. Legalization at the federal level is a step that must be taken economically for the public health and for social equity for everyone in the country. To achieve true equity, marijuana should be descheduled and removed from the Controlled Substances Act scheduled categories altogether. The House has already passed the MORE Act this Congress. I call on our Senate counterparts to do the same and to end the absurd prohibition on marijuana in the 21st century. With that, I now get to recognize the very distinguished ranking member, Ms. Mace, for her opening statement. She has been a tremendous leader in this field, and in fact, it was her idea for us to have this hearing today to collect information about
All right, let's go, guys. Come on, marijuana stocks. Let's see Tilray. Come on, Tilray, CGC, MSOS.
Thank you, Mr.
CGC
Chairman,
looks kind of
for the
promising
honor of
here.
putting
Look at
together
that.
this
Got some
hearing
green.
Together, historic, bipartisan.
Got some
hearing on
green coming
cannabis
in
on the
here.
Oversight
Even on
Committee.
Tilray,
This is
look
a
at that.
great
That's
day
some.
in America, and it's a true honor to be here, and it's an honor to
This is
serve with you
interesting.
and to work together on
How many
so
people
many
are
issues
watching
where
this?
our nation looks so divided on
900,
the
okay.
outside, but today this is an example where we can work together. And I've shared this before, but this issue is not just an issue that, to me, is just
Whoa,
a bill. This
Ms.
issue
Mace.
is personal. I was raped when I was 16 years old, and it was a
Oh, no.
devastating event in my life. It's trauma that I have lived with for almost
Oh,
my
no,
entire
that took a bad turn of
lifetime. I
events
dropped
there.
out of school shortly thereafter, and my doctors at the time prescribed me antidepressants that made my depression worse. And rather than end everything, I stopped taking those prescription drugs and I started using cannabis, not realizing at the time that I was self-medicating for the trauma that I had experienced. And I used it for a period of time, and it cut my anxiety. I was able to sleep better, and I stayed alive. And I took that job at the Waffle House. I turned my life around. I learned some tough lessons during some tough times. I eventually would become the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. I'm the first Republican woman ever elected to Congress from
That's
South
good.
Carolina. If I can make it, anybody can. And this plant literally saved my life. I don't know where I would be today had I not had that kind of experience that I can share with millions of Americans today. And so the only place that cannabis is really controversial today is here on the Capitol in bright red South Carolina. Medical cannabis is supported by the vast majority of South Carolina residents. And in fact, in my very purple district in South Carolina's 1st congressional district, even recreational is supported by the vast majority of constituents in that area. And so I have a lot to say about the problems with our cannabis laws, but more importantly, I have a solution. In my first year in Congress, we worked for 9 months to create the States Reform Act. That would be a bipartisan bill looking at the ways that we can come together, the left and the right, to put forth legislation that was smart, that was responsible, and can bring together ideas from both sides of the aisle. So the States Reform Act puts power back where it should be at the state level. There are 47 of 50 states that have some form of cannabis regulation or reform. The last 3 don't even have CBD. But South Carolina, we have CBD and hemp. Florida, for example, has medical cannabis. You have other states that have full adult recreational use. Every state is different. And the States Reform Act respects the laws of every single state in the country and respects the right of federalism. It empowers governors and state legislatures to choose the reforms that are best for their states and their constituents and what they support. And States Reform Act has the constituents' needs with oversight, coordination, and commerce in
Oh, these
mind.
stocks aren't really
The
doing
States
anything.
Reform Act would bring about regulatory reforms which would enable
Hillary's
us to
looking
tackle
all right, I guess.
complex issues within the cannabis industry that we've seen over the last couple of years. The States Reform Act, in addition, would bring certain protections to children and veterans, something I'm extremely proud of. It looks at
Don't forget to vote in the poll, guys. If you guys have not seen the poll yet, please vote in that. I think you guys will enjoy that little poll vote. Keep in mind, these are all anonymous. I'm not going to know what you guys are voting for or anything like that. I don't mind, really. I don't care if you guys like it or you don't like it. I just think it's kind of cool to see here. But yeah, I mean, you know, marijuana is a big thing. I know a lot of people have been watching it. Look at Tilray climbing up here on the charts. Let's go see CGC also climbing up a little bit, but Tilray's looking pretty damn good there. So is MJ, MSOS. MSOS doesn't look as good, but Tilray itself is looking pretty good, so I'm liking that. Chris says SPY is bouncing off $400, so go ahead and keep an eye on 400, guys. That's going to be pretty big. But yeah, this marijuana stuff is going to be crazy today. And this lady, for being a Republican, sounds very, I think very good about marijuana. I know marijuana is not a big thing that Republicans support. But I'm more right. I support the marijuana. I'm not saying I'm out here smoking it all day, but it's one of those things where I feel like going forward, like growing up, going through high school and stuff like that, I saw it all over the place. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I smelled it in the high school. Like, people would do it into their lockers, and of course people got in trouble for it, but I don't know. I've seen it all over my whole life. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
I have articles supporting the States Reform Act from various nonprofits. I have letters supporting and endorsing the States Reform Act from groups, including NORML and Americans for Prosperity, law enforcement groups, veterans groups, et cetera. I also have articles regarding cannabis research, including the NIH-supported studies. We need data and research, more importantly, and also the Minority Cannabis Business Association's National Cannabis Equity Report for 2022. All right here for you today.
Thank you. Without objection, they will be entered into the record. Ms. Mace, I want to really salute you for your intellectual vigor and courage with which you've pursued this question, and I hope that this extremely bipartisan hearing will be a harbinger of what can take place in the next Congress, regardless of which one of us ends up on top by one vote or two. I thank you for the spirit with which you initiated this hearing. Yes?
I'd seek time if the gentleman were to allow that.
I'm sorry?
I would like to seek time if the gentleman would allow that.
Oh, sure. We were going to have the witnesses first, but we'll come to you immediately. Is that okay?
Thank you, sir.
Great. All right. Well, welcome to all of the members of the committee, and thank you to our witnesses for being here. First, we're going to have Paul
These committees are funny, guys. I don't know about you,
NORML, the National Organization
these
for the
things
Reform
always
of
seem
Marijuana
so
Laws.
disorganized.
Then we'll hear from Erica Guppel, the founder and CEO of the Veterans Cannabis Coalition. Then Amber Littlejohn, a senior policy advisor for the Global Alliance for Cannabis Commerce. Next, we'll hear from Andrew Friedman, executive director of the Coalition for Cannabis Policy, Education, and Regulation. Then Jillian Snyder, the policy director of criminal justice.
Ha ha ha, Keisha. Tilray's beating CGC today. Take that. CGC was better yesterday, but Tilray's doing better today. Let's go. Let's go. Sean says I'd rather have potheads than alcoholics. I guess so, Sean. I mean, why not?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Let the record show that all of the witnesses have answered in the affirmative. Thank you very much. Without objection, your written statements are going to be made part of the complete record, but each of you will now have 5 minutes to synthesize your testimony. And with that, Mr. Armentano, you're now recognized as our first witness.
Thank you. I wish to thank the members of this distinguished committee for allowing us to have the opportunity to speak to you today. For nearly 30 years, I've worked professionally on cannabis policy reform. I've witnessed seismic shifts in scientific, cultural, and political opinions during this period of time. In the summer of 1996, about 1 year into my career, there were no states that regulated the possession or use of cannabis. Public support for legalization hovered around 25%. And former House Speaker Newt Gingrich had just introduced legislation to impose the death penalty upon those convicted of importing as little as 4 ounces of cannabis into the United States. That's where we were then. My, how times have changed. Today, 21 states have policies regulating the production, use, and retail sale of cannabis to adults, and 37 states authorize the use and dispensing of cannabis for medical purposes. In the past 25 years, not a single state has ever repealed or rolled back
Tilray's
their
looking great.
cannabis
Let's go.
legalization laws. This is evidence that these policies are working primarily as both voters and as state officials have intended. In addition, more than 2/3 of Americans, including majorities of Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, now say that cannabis use by adults should be legal. As more states have embraced legalization, public support for these policies has increased in parallel. There is no buyer's remorse among the American public. They see that legalizing and regulating cannabis works, and that this policy is preferable to one of criminalization, discrimination, and stigmatization. America now enjoys a quarter-century real-world experience with state-level cannabis legalization laws. The data gathered from this experience is plentiful and reassuring. A keyword search of PubMed, the repository for all peer-reviewed scientific studies, identifies over 42,000 published studies specific to cannabis and its effects. Over half of these papers were published just within the last decade. This literature establishes that although cannabis is not altogether harmless, it most certainly is not so dangerous as to warrant its federal classification as a prohibited Schedule I substance like heroin. President Biden recently acknowledged this reality when he publicly criticized.
This sounds really good for cannabis, guys. Let's hope that this shoots these stocks up. Let's go.
Prohibitive status under federal law. On 2 recent occasions, the House has reached a similar conclusion when it voted to pass the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, which, among other changes, removes cannabis from the U.S. Controlled Substances Act in a manner similar to that of alcohol. This policy is known as descheduling. It eliminates the existing state-federal conflict by providing state governments with explicit authority to establish their own individual cannabis policies, free from the threat of undue federal intrusion. Descheduling is necessary in order to close the growing and untenable divide between state and federal cannabis laws. By descheduling cannabis, tens of millions of Americans who reside in states where cannabis is legal in some form, as well as the hundreds of thousands of people who work for the state licensed industry that services them, will no longer face needless hurdles and discrimination, such as a lack of access to financial services, loans, insurance, Second Amendment rights, tax deductions, certain professional security clearances, and other privileges. More importantly, these millions of Americans will no longer have to live in fear of federal prosecution. Nearly a century ago, the federal government wisely decided to repeal the federal prohibition of alcohol. Then, much like today, a growing percentage of politicians recognized that criminal prohibition was a politically unpopular law that was running afoul of the policies of many states. Congress's solution? Respect the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and empower states, not the federal government, to be the primary arbiters of local alcohol policies. This path made sense in 1933 and makes equal sense today. Our nation's Federalist principles demand that the federal government respects voters' decisions to legalize cannabis. At a time of record public support for legalization, and when a majority of states have adopted this policy, it makes no sense from a political, fiscal, or cultural perspective for Congress to try to put this genie back in the bottle or to place its collective heads in the sand. It is time for the government to end its nearly century-long experiment with cannabis prohibition.
Thank you, Mr. Armentano. Appreciate that very much. Mr. Gupple, you're now recognized for your 5 minutes.
Chairman Raskin, Ranking Member Mace, and members of the Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. Good morning. My name is Eric Opel, founder of the Veterans Cannabis Coalition.
Well, guys, some of
I
this
served in
stuff
the
sounds
US
pretty
Army for
good. I
7
can't
years,
lie. I
including
mean,
2 tours in Iraq.
I'm hoping this helps these
providing
marijuana
communication support
stocks.
in the Special Operations Unit. I am also the son and grandson of
Hopefully they
veterans,
keep
all
moving.
now
Oh, look at this
passed,
guy.
who
He's
served
a
this country since World War II.
special operator.
In my capacity with the Veterans Cannabis Coalition, alongside my fellow Iraq War veteran and co-founder Bill Ferguson, we have been working for close to 5 years on this nexus of issues. On behalf of our community and all patients who rely on cannabis as a medicine, we thank you for holding this hearing and gathering a variety of perspectives on this knot of state and federal challenges. We greatly appreciate the bipartisan work the chair and ranking member have put into making this happen, and look forward to the day when Congress comes together to end cannabis prohibition and restores those harmed by government action, once and for all. Every death by suicide, overdose, and toxic exposure is not a tragedy. It is a policy failure. It is not just a dereliction of Congress's duty to provide for the general welfare of the nation, but a betrayal of the explicit promise this country has made for hundreds of years to care for those who have borne the battle. Each passing of family, friends, and brothers and sisters in arms leaves a void, and for those of us who go on, a lingering question. Could we have done more? We are here to provide an answer. Yes, we could have done more, we can do more, and we should do more. We could have done more for the 127,560 veterans who have died by suicide in the last 20 years, despite billions of dollars spent on studies and interventions. We could have done more for the hundreds of thousands of Americans lost to overdose, made worse by crackdowns on legal prescribing and a tainted drug supply. Congress, most of all, must do more to acknowledge, stop, and care for the generations of service members, families, and host communities poisoned by toxic exposure caused by the Department of Defense. So many veterans have served, suffered trauma, received care that they found lacking, and teetering on the edge of crisis, discovered cannabis. Commonly, they pointed to how cannabis helped with pain, sleep, and stress, where the pharmaceuticals and therapies fell short. For all, cannabis served as a catalyst that assisted them with regaining lost function and improving their quality of life. The case is clear that change is needed, but where should we start? We have worked to apply those lessons in California, where we have brought together nonprofits, educators, and licensed operators to raise awareness of a unique state law, the Dennis Peron and Brownie Mary Act, commonly referred to as SB 34. The law allows regulated companies to donate to eligible patients at no cost, eliminating a major barrier to access. Our allies in Canada, who American service members have fought side by side with since World War I, have provided their veterans with a medical cannabis reimbursement program since 2011. In the most recent year, Veterans Affairs Canada subsidized the purchase of $150 million in legal cannabis for more than 18,000 veterans. In contrast, the U.S. Department of Affairs has opposed every congressional attempt to expand research, make it easier for veterans to access state legal medical programs, codify protections for veterans using cannabis, or provide them safe harbor. Their counter-arguments always boil down to the simple fact that cannabis is a Schedule I substance. That is one of many reasons that the cornerstone of any federal reform must be removing cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act entirely. Keeping cannabis on the schedule keeps the plant criminalized. Even if you were to move it to Schedule 5, possession without a doctor's prescription would still remain a federal felony. Deschedule is decriminalization. Once cannabis is descheduled, Congress must also mandate the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Department of
Let's
Defense
go, guys. This is
initiate
great.
an
Come
automatic
on,
review and
deschedule
upgrade
it.
process for veterans with an other than honorable
Deschedule it.
discharge linked to a cannabis offense. Elements
We
of
should all be
this are
chanting
in
that from
the
the
States
rooftops.
Reform Act, for which we would very much like to thank the ranking member. Far too many veterans have been stripped of their benefits because they self-medicated to manage
I know,
trauma.
guys, that some of these
Federal
speeches
government
can
must
sound a
make
little bit
veterans
boring.
look
I hope
doubly
you guys
punished
are
over
enjoying
being
it. If
stolen
you
again.
are, please let me know. Smash
are
that
canaries
like
in the
button.
nation's public
Let
health
me know in the
pipelines.
chat you guys
suffer
are,
disease and
you know,
disorder across
enjoying
the
watching
board
this.
at greater
I know
severity and
sometimes
frequency
these
than our
guys
peers.
might get a little bit
We have
old
been the
after they
target of some
talk
of the
for a
most
few
focused
minutes.
but
But
of some of the
you
most
know, keep in
focused
mind, guys,
healthcare
this is needed.
interventions in US
It's very
history,
influential
but are
for the
dying at
marijuana
rates
market,
never before
and we
seen.
need to see some type
So if
of
cannabis is
reforms
helping
happen
some of
like
the
they're
most
talking
severely
about.
injured
So
and ill people
at
in
least
our
for the
society
marijuana
who have
stocks,
been
you know,
failed by traditional care,
at least
achieve a
for
better
that,
quality of
you know, I
life,
know
then
it's
why
going to
is the
help
federal
people.
government determined
It's
to
going to
deny
do a
the
lot of
reality
other things like
depriving
that
of their
too.
liberty?
But just keep in mind, you know, we need it
everyone
for
gone,
these
could we
stocks
have
to
done
go
more
back
for
up because
The
they
answer has
need
always been
something.
yes.
I mean,
What
these
remains
stocks
to be
need
seen
some
is
type
whether
of
we have
hype.
some of the political will and resources to do so. Thank you for this time, and we hope we can be a resource to the committee going forward in helping understand how prohibition is harming veterans.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Ms. Littlejohn, you're now recognized for your 5 minutes.
Good morning, Chairman Raskin, Ranking Member Mace, and members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to testify today on challenges.
Man, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that the chairman, he's like, yes, sir, thank you very much for your comments. Let's go to the next one. And then they immediately start. Like, I don't know about you guys. It feels a little bit rushed.
GACC is the leading cannabis
Maybe
trade
'cause they were
association
late? I don't know.
advocating to end federal prohibition. We seek policies that create an open and sustainable industry and true second chances for those harmed by prohibition. I am before you today as a witness, lawyer, and a testament to the transformative power of economic opportunities that can ripple for generations. In 1927, my grandfather, Ben Littlejohn, was born in Gaffney, South Carolina, to a family of sharecroppers. In the 1970s, after a distinguished career in the U.S. Army, he had the opportunity to enter the emerging personal computer industry. This opportunity changed the trajectory of his life, the lives of his children and grandchildren, and generations to come. Today, we stand again at the forefront of a new industry with a chance to provide intergenerational opportunities that can impact lives in Gaffney, Baltimore, Chicago, Boston, and also Birmingham. The legal cannabis industry in some form exists in 48 states. The medical and adult use industries employ over 400,000 Americans, and last year alone contributed $3.7 billion in state tax revenues. Cannabis is now the 6th largest legal cash crop in the U.S. Despite these significant contributions to our economy, Congress has failed to implement sensible cannabis reform. Under the threat of criminal penalty and forfeiture, the status quo of federal cannabis prohibition continues to balkanize state marketplaces and raise insurmountable barriers to entry with devastating consequences for small and minority-owned businesses. Consequently, minority-owned cannabis businesses are in decline. Black Americans bear the brunt of the disparate enforcement of cannabis laws. They now also bear the brunt of failed state policies and the devastating impact of federal prohibition on the legal cannabis industry. Black Americans comprise just 2% of owners in the legal cannabis industry, despite representing 13.6% of the population. To promote economic opportunities and restorative justice objectives, 15 states have implemented cannabis social equity programs. However, without addressing the barriers made insurmountable by federal prohibition, no program is sufficient to enable small businesses to compete in an industry dominated by large operators and the unlicensed market. Ending prohibition is a critical step toward addressing the failed impacts of failed federal drug policy. Today, less than 10% of Americans support continuing the status quo. The majority of Democratic and Republican voters favor ending federal prohibition, which requires descheduling. Rescheduling is recriminalizing, descheduling is decriminalizing. President Biden took a laudable step toward meaningful reform by prompting the review of the status of cannabis under the Controlled Substances Act. However, it was Congress that codified prohibition and the vast machinery of anti-drug laws that sparked decades of disparate enforcement. Now Congress has the power and the obligation to comprehensively and thoughtfully correct it by focusing on sensible regulation and harm reduction. Fortunately, Congress has substantial opportunity for bipartisan reform. The 3 leading comprehensive proposals, the States Reform Act, Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act, and the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, differ in their approach to ending prohibition, but provide a sound basis for progress. The bills reveal common bipartisan aims to intentionally deschedule, not reschedule cannabis, provide true second chances for those impacted by prohibition, ensure low barriers to entry and support for small and minority-owned businesses, define a role for the federal government that respects diverse state regulatory frameworks, and thoughtfully and expeditiously transition to an interstate marketplace with support for and new opportunities for small and minority-owned businesses. From these areas of agreement, Congress can move forward to end prohibition and enact sensible cannabis laws. The American cannabis industry provides too many jobs, too many economic opportunities, and supports too many social and economic initiatives for Congress to remain at impasse. On behalf of GACC, thank you, Chairman Raskin, Ranking Member Mace, and committee members for this hearing and exploring bipartisan opportunities for reform. Lastly, thank you, Ranking Member Mace, for your thoughtful approach to protecting existing small businesses in the SRA and helping build this bridge for bipartisan collaboration. I look forward to the committee's questions.
Ms. Littlejohn, thank you very much for your testimony, and Mr. Friedman, you're now recognized for yours.
Thank you, Chairman Raskin, Ranking Member Mace, and distinguished members of the committee. As the former cannabis czar for the state of Colorado and a policy professional having advised nearly 20 governments, it is an honor to join today's discussion on the need for federal cannabis reform. When Colorado voters approved a ballot initiative in 2012 legalizing adult-use cannabis, the then-governor and present U.S. Senator John Hickenlooper appointed me to lead the state's efforts to implement its new law and to oversee the medical cannabis and hemp programs. I have had a front-row seat to one of the most remarkable political phenomena in federalism.
This is pretty interesting,
in
guys.
democracy.
Pretty interesting.
Last week, as we marked the 10th anniversary of Colorado's
The marijuana
passage of
stocks
its
aren't really
adult-use
moving too much,
cannabis
though,
initiative,
unfortunately.
we saw voters in 2 more states legalize adult-use cannabis, including in the very red state of Missouri. Today, roughly half of Americans live in the 21 states in the District of Columbia that have legalized
very
adult
red
use
state of
cannabis,
Missouri.
and
Hey,
there
that's
are a
me
total
and
of
Bill's
37
state.
states that have legalized cannabis for medicinal use. Prohibition is no longer the law of the land, even as it remains federal law. While voters from across the political spectrum agree that federal prohibition has failed as badly as alcohol prohibition did a century ago, other motivations for legalization vastly vary. In the last 10 years, I have advised rural counties that were interested in licensing cultivation facilities so their farmers could participate in the market, large East Coast cities that were concerned with ensuring minority-owned businesses were first to get licensed, and states that prioritized safe access for medical cannabis patients. Throughout this work, one fact remained constant. States were critically hampered in achieving their goals and mitigating their concerns without federal reform. So, in 2020, we founded the Coalition for Cannabis Policy, Education, and Regulation, or CPAIR, to embrace a simple reality. Cannabis reform is here to stay, and it is time for the federal government to institute regulatory, public health, public safety, and criminal justice policies that respect and align with the states. The coalition consists of members representing regulated industries, think tanks, government associations, public safety officials, medical and mental health professionals, financial services firms, and social equity organizations. Together, this coalition strives to be a trusted, data-driven resource for lawmakers and the larger stakeholder community. CPAIR does not advocate that a state should or should not legalize cannabis. States should remain free to determine what, if any, form of legalization they wish to pursue. But where states have decided to pursue cannabis reform, and even in states where cannabis remains illicit, the federal government should provide regulatory guardrails. States are demanding this. This committee is asking the right question. How can changes to federal law help the cannabis policy landscape? For instance, to combat driving under the influence of cannabis, federal policy is critical to augment and improve drug recognition expertise, create universal intoxicating standards, and to fast-track the implementation of new impairment detection technologies. Congress can combat youth misuse by supporting youth programming that works, establishing a national minimum purchasing age of 21,
That's
drawing
right, Bill,
upon
it's
best
the show me
practices of
state.
point-of-sale age verification, and restricting advertising that targets youth. To combat the illicit market, states have implemented track and trace inventory control systems to monitor cannabis products throughout the supply chain. Reform requires a unified federal and state response. That means federal reform efforts should supplement and integrate with existing state systems. There are dozens of issues where federal engagement is critical, including addressing mental health concerns, conducting research, restricting unproven health claims, preventing substance abuse known as cannabis use disorder, and maintaining safe access for patients and veterans. This is not to say the entire federal government isn't paying attention. Ranking Member Mace, present today, has championed the States Reform Act, which provides a federal regulatory framework for cannabis. Representative Ocasio-Cortez co-leads the Harnessing Opportunities by Pursuing Expungement, or HOPE Act, an important bill for those impacted by prohibition. Both of these bills have CPAIR support. Ranking Member Comer has championed the federal effort to provide regulatory clarity to the U.S. hemp industry. As Kentucky's Commissioner of Agriculture, he implemented hemp pilot programs permissible per the 2014 Farm Bill. He has secured provisions in the 2018 Farm Bill for fully legalizing the crop. He has since conducted regulatory follow-up and oversight of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Today's hearing is a testament to your further commitment to get bipartisan federal cannabis reform done right. To aid the committee in discussing cannabis reform, CPAIR has entered 4 policy papers into our written statement. These present a framework for small and minority-owned businesses, solutions for mental health and substance abuse, a plan to prevent youth misuse, and policies to combat driving under the influence of cannabis and other drugs. I thank you for your time today and look forward to answering any questions you may have today or in the future.
Mr. Friedman, thank you very much. I now recognize Ms. Snyder for 5 minutes of your testimony.
Good morning, Chairman Raskin, Ranking Member Mace, and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the invitation to speak at this hearing. My name is Jillian Snyder, and I am the Policy Director of Criminal Justice and Civil Liberties at the R Street Institute, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan public policy research organization. In addition to my current role, I'm also a lecturer at John Jay College of Criminal Justice and a retired New York City police officer. I'm here to speak to you today about the critical nature of and growing bipartisan support for cannabis reform at the federal level. For more than 5 decades, the United States has prioritized the prohibition of cannabis, but these efforts have been futile. As it stands, cannabis is the most widely used illegal substance in the United States. It is estimated that 55 million Americans currently use marijuana, and recent polls indicate that more than 90% of the American public, Democrats and Republicans alike, support legalization for adult use of medicinal or recreational cannabis. Proposed federal legislation indicates increased support for alternatives to federal cannabis prohibition, which is critical to provide clarity on the overall legal status of cannabis. Currently, cannabis may be legal in one state and decriminalized in another, but because it is still prohibited at the federal level, users or possessors of the substance are subjected to criminal penalty. This dual legality is problematic. It not only confuses the average citizen, but it also results in extremely varied approaches of policing. Federal prohibition and related enforcement efforts have intensified racial disparities, clogged court dockets, contributed to mass incarceration, devastated communities and families, proliferated an illegal drug market, diverted police resources from substantial threats in the community, increased the number of negative police-citizen encounters, produced an associated distrust of the police, and continues to weaken the police-community relationships that are integral to reducing more serious and violent crime. Of course, the legalization of cannabis alone cannot solve all these issues, but the potential benefits of smart federal legalization policy would outweigh the established consequences of prohibition. The widespread use of marijuana in the United States and its distinct lingering odor makes the substance especially prone to initiating police contact. During my policing career, I worked with the street-level narcotics enforcement unit and served on the anti-crime unit, which proactively looks to deter violent crime and illegal weapons possession. The smell of marijuana was often the predicate for the team and I initiating a citizen stop. And while on rare occasions, we uncovered additional crimes, many of them low-level in nature, such as driving on a suspended license or having a warrant for an unpaid summons, the fact remains that most of these encounters did not result in the seizure of more serious drugs or dangerous weapons. Continued cannabis prohibition has contributed to the evisceration of community confidence in police and the criminal justice system. A 2020 poll found that for the first time in 27 years, the majority of Americans do not trust the police. When citizens lack faith that the police can keep them safe, violence escalates, street-level justice becomes preferred over police intervention, and public safety is sacrificed. Compounding the issue of low levels of community trust is the diminishing view of police legitimacy, which refers to the public support for their officers' authority to manage and resolve conflicts. The core principle of this mutual relationship is that the police have trust and confidence that the officers are honest and working diligently to keep them safe. If the police have the support of the public, citizens are more willing to defer to the authority of the police and believe that their actions are morally justified and appropriate to the circumstance. When police and the communities they serve collaborate, citizens are more willing to cooperate in efforts to prevent and respond to crime. This dynamic has the capacity to reduce neighborhood levels of crime and decrease opportunities for potential harm to police. Considering recent crime trends, focusing on anything
Chris
other than
says, should I
violent
buy
crimes is a distraction
Tilray?
of law enforcement priorities.
Already falling
The United
asleep. It's
States must
9:30
prioritize
here in
violent crime
India.
reduction in lieu of the
Oh, that's a tough one, Krish. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's really moving too much with this news today. Now, obviously, this can change as the day goes on, as the meeting goes, but as of right now, I don't know, Krish. I would probably just stay away. It doesn't really seem like it's necessarily blasting up right now or anything like that, so I don't know. I'm a little bit interested though in like what these people have to say. I don't know. I hope you guys are liking what you're seeing here. I will say the SPY so far is starting to hit a pretty big trend and coming back down intraday. I think that's interesting that we're still bouncing off that trend there. Yeah, and 400 Bill said too. Yeah, we're also right on $400 even, which is going to be a very important level as well. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and turn that off for now. You know, I will say it was getting a little bit, I don't know about you guys, a little bit, you know, just kind of the same thing over and over and over. But looking at the market, I'm just trying to find some good like marijuana plays that are maybe moving. It seems like these stocks are honestly kind of falling down with the news today. You know, I don't know if that's the case or not exactly. We'll have to see what happens at the end, but for right now, these stocks are definitely cooling off. Let's see, what do we still have like running up today? How's Apple? No. Amazon? No. No. Honestly, everything's starting to pull back, guys. Pretty scary. Disney pulling back. Visa. Let's see, MasterCard. United Airlines looking good. SoFi or Sophie. Snap. ARKK. These stocks are starting to do nothing. Everything's just starting to consolidate, guys. I guess it's just that time of day. Looking at the SPY, though, like I said, that is a pretty big little trend line right there. Intraday, it's definitely holding up. We'll have to see if we can move back below that low of day or not. I will say, guys, watch for puts. If we fall back below 399.80, I'll definitely be looking for some puts, but just watch it. You know, we're bouncing right off 400. Hopefully we keep bouncing back up. And that's the thing. It really just takes like the guessing out of trading, at least in my eyes. You know, I'm sitting here, I'm watching the SPY, you know, it takes the guessing out. You know, the SPY fell down. If we fall back below 399.80, it's simple. I'm going to get puts. Simple as that. Play it to the downside right there. Hopefully catch some momentum. If we keep moving up like this, it's simple. It's a support bounce back up. You know, it takes the guessing out of trading, and that's what I love about that. You just end up doing what you want. Chris says, Tom, SE or C Limited, 33%. Yeah, 32.4 right now, but yeah, 33% just a few minutes ago. That is insane. Yeah, Iranical said SE as well. That is a great jump up with SE. Huge push, 32%. That's fantastic. I know they had those great earnings. And talking about earnings, guys, tonight we have Advanced Auto Parts. But keep your eyes open for tomorrow morning. We have Target, Lowe's, TJX, NVIDIA after close, along with Cisco, Bath and Body Works. So a lot of crazy stocks. You know, a lot of big stocks out there. Thursday we have Baba. So a lot of big movers here. I cannot wait for NVIDIA. I know Walmart was my favorite one by far, but now that Walmart's done, we can go ahead and check out good old NVIDIA. That's going to be a big one, 2.37%. Moving back to the upside. Not the best movement today, but honestly, Walmart has been a very nice continuation. They're now up 8.3%. Looking very, very solid. Keisha says, me too. I'll be grabbing puts too. Cornish says the dollar's on the move. Uh-oh. It is, isn't it? Look at that. What happened this morning with the dollar? Dollar died and then came all the way back up to reality. Very interesting wick right there on the US dollar. Good eye, Sean. Good eye. How's USO2Y? Ooh, this ain't looking good. This almost looks like a dead cat bounce, guys. That would be bad if this thing still continued down here. It's like a dead cat bounce, though. It really does. Let's hope that that's the case, because that would mean the market might do a little bit better here. And looking at the SPY, I mean, honestly, the SPY is up quite a bit. We've had very little downtrend ever since we hit the mainly all the way down around lows at 348. I was going to say mainly like 350, but looks like the main support here was around like 356, maybe 357. But yeah, all the way back up now to 400. What a recovery with you, SPY. What a recovery. LVS looking good. Really is rocketing, though, on the dollar, isn't it? DXY was really moving there. It was. But yeah, I appreciate everybody joining up today. You know, we watched a lot of good stocks. We got to watch a lot of marijuana stocks. I know that they're not necessarily exploding like people had hoped for. There is still some time, obviously. These things could still start to move as the day goes on. But yeah, I appreciate you all joining up. Thank you, Sean, Keisha, Krish, Bill W, Corbin, Iranical, Gengar, Tyler. Thanks for joining up. Manny Money. Manny Money. Love that name. Fivas Motorsports. Another cool name. Nay. Bill W. Saram. Shelly J. Had a lot of fresh faces in here today, guys. I appreciate that. Thank you also, Jamie, who joined up at the beginning. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, guys. So far, the market's been all right. Looks like marijuana stocks are starting to come back a little bit. SPY's been up. SPY's been down this morning. We're still green overall. Keep in mind, we gapped up a lot this morning. We had that PPI data. We had Walmart shooting up with their earnings, and they're still looking good. So yeah, great day. Honestly, continuing off of the great movement over the past few weeks. You know, we've been seeing some great movement. And I'm really glad that the SPY and that the market is starting to recover up in the way that it is. So have a great rest of your day, guys. I'll see you in the Discord. Keisha beat me to it. That's funny. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the Discord. But have a great day and bring in those profits, baby. Let's go.